So yesterday we explained why we keep second day Yom Tov even nowadays when we have a fixed calendar. And we've established that outside of Israel, you need to keep 2 days, inside Israel, 1 day. The question is though, what is inside Israel, what is outside of Israel? How do we define that? You would say quite simply, whatever is Israel nowadays, whatever is not Israel is 2 days. It's not as simple as that though. The Rambam has quite a novel approach to all of this, which wasn't really accepted. But the Rambam's approach was as follows. He understood that it's not about what's inside of Israel or outside of Israel. It's more about where did the messengers arrive in time. I mean, when they had the messengers who would go out and notify the cities of the new Rosh Chodesh, that's what it all depends on. And therefore, Rambam says as follows: if there is a town in Israel which wasn't around when historically, when the times when the messengers would go out, then even though that's in Israel, that would keep 2 days. Because the whole reason why you only need to keep 1 day is because this is a place where messengers would go out in ample time. The time the Rambam gives is 10 days. I'm not going to go into why it's 10 days. It's got to do with with the Chag of Sukkot and being able to get there within 10 days. Any place which is within 10 days walking distance from Eretz Israel, and it's a place where messengers would go out in the past to these places, does not need to keep 2 days. But any place which isn't within a 10 days distance, or is within a 10 days distance, but messengers didn't go out, would need to keep 2 days, which would mean, according to the Rambam, some quite dramatic conclusions. Firstly, it would mean that a place like Eilat, which messengers almost certainly never went down there, would keep, in the southern Negev, that would keep 2 days. And places perhaps like Damascus, which is within a 10-day walking distance, and messengers did go out there, would only need to keep 1 day. Also places in Jordan, if a person was in Jordan. This is places where the messengers historically went out, and also it's a place which is within 10 days walking distance. And so, as you can see, it becomes quite complicated to determine all of this, but that was the Rambam's approach. The other approach of the other Rishonim was much more simple, and that is, once the calendar, although it's true that some places messengers never went out, but once there has a fixed calendar and they decided to continue the minhag, they decided to do so based on the borders of Israel. Wherever the borders of Israel are, if you're in those borders, it's 2 days, it's 1 day. If you're outside of those borders, even though in a place like some places in Syria, which are near enough, which was in with 10 days distance, and is also a place where messengers went, and historically perhaps they would only keep 1 day, but nowadays once the Hachamim have established that it's all based on minhag, they decided it's based on minhag, not dependent upon where the messengers went and when they went, but rather dependent on what is in the borders of Israel and what's not within the borders of Israel, which would mean everything outside Damascus, Jordan, all these places keep 2 days, and everything inside Israel, even though it's a place where it wasn't necessarily somewhere where the people lived, and it wasn't a place where messengers went out, but it's within the borders of Israel, and thus you keep 1 day. And this seems to have been accepted as the majority view, and this is generally how we approach the concept of 2 days and 1 day nowadays. The question, though, is with regards to a place like Eilat, even according to the Ritva, according to the Rambam, it would need to keep 2 days. But if we take the approach of the Ritva, it's got the other approach, it's got to do with what's within the borders of Israel, but Eilat wasn't within the borders of Israel, certainly not the original borders mentioned in Parashat Maseh in the Torah. And so there are indeed different approaches to this. There is the approach that there are some of the poskim who hold that you do need to keep 2 days. And if you're traveling to Eilat for Pesach or for a Chag and you're spending there, you do need to keep 2 days. And that certainly is according to the Rambam, and arguably according to the other approach, because it's not within the historical borders of Israel. But there are other arguments, and this was the approach of Rav Herzog, the chief rabbi of Israel, and others, that you keep 1 day in Eilat, even though it wasn't historically part of the borders. There's a number of reasons are given for that. One reason is because of the sovereignty of the state of Israel, it's made it into the borders of Israel, or because Shlomo HaMelech in Melachim, it does say that he captured it, and perhaps it was part of the borders of Israel later on, although not from the beginning. And so, for various reasons, there are poskim who hold that nowadays in Even Eilat you keep one day. And to my knowledge, within Eilat today, there are different communities who some keep 2 days and some keep one day within Eilat itself. My understanding is that there is one community there which keeps one day, there's another community there which keeps 2 days. And so this is all deeply problematic in terms of how to conduct oneself when one goes there. And if one does go there, one should consult and really find out what the correct approach is. But clearly there are two very different approaches into keeping in Eilat. But outside of Israel, even places historically like Syria and so on, nowadays the prevalent minhag in these places is to keep 2 days, and that's what happened in Syria and other places nearby. They did keep 2 days outside.